to YouTube. My goodness. Some sailing XP nerfs. Wow. Well, I know at least one group of people are not going to be offended by this whatsoever. They've just been enjoying sailing so dang much. Regardless of those stupid XP rates, if people would just stop complaining and whining about the XP rates, everyone could just go back to enjoying sailing. They ruined sailing. Sailing is bad. Sailing is dead. Sailing is dead. Sailing is dead. They lied about the XP rates. Sailing is dead. It appears the script has been flipped a little bit. How strange. Interesting. Now what I have said is what the public opinion is. Interesting. I told you so. Okay. In case you haven't seen it yet, we'll quick look through the news post. It's very, very long, so I'm going to kind of spark notes it, but we'll go through it. What exactly did they change? What exactly did they nerf? The answer is everything. The answer is everything. And they already have an update, so we'll come back to this, like what they're planning to do, based on all the negative feedback they've been receiving, because there's been a lot of flack over this. So we'll take a quick peek. Okay, first of all, crystal extractor. Everyone knew this was going to happen. They're going to nerf the crystal extractor, surely. They mentioned in the news post last week that they would probably nerf this and spread the XP out some. So let's see exactly what they did. They've brought the XP per harvest from 600 XP to 250. So over half. That is a sizable nerf. So from 34,000 an hour down to 14,000 an hour. Okay, pretty brutal. Well, I'm sure they spread the XP around, right? Before we dive into specific activities, we'll say that we're not planning on any XP changes to Barracuda trials, since they're already taking a hit as a result of the crystal extractor changes. We're happy with where the XP from trials will sit alongside other options, without any further adjustments. And we're constantly seeing players push the limits here, exploring options like allowing for natural trimming moments, and new, more optimal routes are always being discovered to push XP even further. Didn't spread XP to Barracuda trials. Maybe they did to everything else. Let's keep looking. Port tasks. I hate this training method. I don't like it. I know some people do it, so let's take a look. What do they do with this? We'll be increasing the completion XP offered by all courier tasks from level 40 and above by about 15%. This should help them shine a little brighter in the level ranges between Barracuda trials, where one starts to fall off and you want to progress to the next, particularly at levels 40 to 55 and 60 to 70, as well as making them a more appealing, laid-back option for players in the 90s and beyond 99, sporting rosewood upgrades to max out their boat speed. I think these are around 130k an hour is what I've heard. So if you take into account that they've just hacked off 20k XP an hour from all sailing methods due to the extractor nerf, this is actually a slight nerf. If you have the extractor already built and you were doing port tasks, this is a slight nerf to you. So the levels up until extractor, from 40 up until extractor, they got buffed. So from the mid levels, this got buffed. Otherwise, this got slightly nerfed. So that's what got changed. Okay, so a slight nerf here where they didn't spread out the XP of the extractor once again. All right. Deep sea trawling. Now, this is like really horrendous XP, and they've said that's intentional. Our intent for this method has always been for it to be a lower XP an hour activity with a solid resource output, so that trawling serves as a solid skilling moneymaker. Though that was our intent, we do understand where many of you are coming from with feelings that the XP offered isn't worth the intensity of the input, especially with the sailing XP an hour being reduced as a result of the extractor changes. No changes this week, but we'll be having conversations around the XP, the output, and whether this is more of a sailing or a fishing activity, then see what changes we might be able to make that make it a more appealing method. Nerf first, balance later. So no buff to... By the way, this was like at most 40k sailing XP an hour with the extractor, like barely anything. You basically got no sailing XP from doing this, and now the fact that they nerfed the extractor, which was like increasing the floor of this a lot, now you get like no sailing XP whatsoever from doing this. So you're basically doing it just for fish, like they said. Okay, so deep sea trawling got nerfed when it really desperately needed a buff more than anything. All right. And then salvage. Salvage is my favorite part of the update. I love doing salvage. It's so AFK. It's so nice. What did they do to salvage? They're explaining how it worked. We're looking to make some changes here that might not be easy to understand from the numbers, so we'll state our goals clearly. Nerf AFK salvaging across the board so that its top end is slightly above similar AFK methods like redwood woodcutting. A rough estimate here is that AFK salvaging methods could top out in the 80 to 90k an hour range. Ensure that moderately AFK methods where crewmate salvage and the player's sort still results in more XP than dropping salvage, but tone down the sorting XP so that it isn't significantly better than dropping. Reduce some common frustrations and pain points with salvaging to improve QOL, and improve the output of high-intensity salvaging so that players looking for high-intensity training methods have a viable alternative that competes with Barracuda trials. Player salvaging now runs on a slower 5-tick cycle, down from 4-tick, but with increased success rates across all shipwreck tiers to keep XP roughly the same while boosting AFK time. Keep in mind, this also affects the crewmates. The crewmates also harvest a tick slower. Crewmates will now remember their assigned task over logout. Okay, that's a great change. That was much needed. Much needed. Crewmate's salvage range will be calculated from the hook's position rather than the boat's position. This should reduce scenarios where crewmates could salvage shipwrecks that you could not, and vice versa. Nice change. Crewmates will now salvage at the same rate as players rather than outperforming their captain. Okay, so their catch rate has been lowered. Catch rate has been lowered. They catch slower as well. We'll be adding more double salvage spots to every shipwreck hotspot, while also making these double spots easier to access and orient yourself so that you're not getting stuck repeatedly. This has added an extra ship to several of the locations. Salvaging has 3 boat spawns where one is active at a time, and then it goes back underwater after roughly 2.5 minutes, and another one pops up. So they've increased this from 3 spots to 4 spots for several of the locations, making it less AFK at a bunch of places. So this sounds like they're trying to make it better. They've actually made it worse in a bunch of locations. Some haven't been changed. The one I checked was Fremnik, which looks the same. So some have been changed, some haven't. Some are worse, some aren't. Jolly Jim's deck handiness has been increased to 4, meaning you'll have 2 crewmates able to use dragon salvaging hooks. Good change. Good change. Okay, so they've increased the deck handiness, and they've heavily nerfed crewmates across the board. Not great. And this is the chance, the increased success chance for all of these, but keep in mind that we have a much slower catch rate. So 11%, 14%, 15%, and it goes up a lot for each wreck. They've changed these chances on these by about this much, but you harvest 20% slower. So it's 20% slower, and some of the locations make up for that almost. I don't really know. I guess this is like as your level increases, your chance increases more. So this 22% would be at 99 is the vibe. I don't get why there's a discrepancy 16 to 22%. Like, why isn't this just a flat number? I'm assuming it's based on level. So the level you access it is 16%. So it's worse at the level you access it until it gets slightly better than it was at high levels. That's how they've changed this. And now finally the big bad. Pirate shipwrecks now give 76 XP instead of 63. Mercenary shipwrecks now give 138 XP instead of 127. Fremnik shipwrecks now give 162 instead of 150. Merchant shipwrecks now give 200 instead of 190. Ooh, buff. Okay. Really a buff. However, we're reducing the XP that you get from sorting salvage to try and better emphasize getting involved on the hooks yourself, and reducing some of the strength of the 2 crewmate salvage self-sort method. Barracuda salvage now gives 13 XP instead of 15.5. Merchant salvage now gives 34 instead of 95. 34 instead of 95. What? Almost a third? 34 instead of 95. Huh? For this, like, minuscule, like, 5% XP buff, we take a 1/3 nerf on salvaging. Oh, okay. It's hard to put all of this together and understand exactly how each of the approaches to shipwreck salvaging might be impacted. The oversimplified version is that we estimate those numbers to be a 20 to 30% nerf for AFK from level 35 shipwrecks and beyond, and around a 20% buff to more high-intensity approaches to salvaging. Okay, so before Sandling came out, they stated that they were good with keeping 1.5 tick in the way it is, but they weren't going to be, like, changing things around it. They're changing stuff around tick manip. That's what they're doing. So the tick manip isn't good enough. It needs to be buffed, and it needs a big enough gap from the AFK to make it even better. So the AFK had to be nerfed, is basically what they're saying. As if to add insult to injury, they release what the drop rates are of stuff, and we already know they were crazy rare. No mention of balancing those said drop rates. The Bell's Folly is a 1 in 400. Very, very rare for a mid-level item. Very, very rare, to the point it's really not worth going for, considering this is task only, requires 80 points to unlock the Griffin boss, and requires a sailing level, a bunch of quests to go access it, like very high requirements to do for a 1 in 400 from a boss, like very, very low rates. And then the sailing creatures, which had incredibly low rates. Great White Sharks have a 1 in 1,023 chance to roll on their dragon table. Due to a nasty bug, these haven't been rolling as intended. I don't know what this means. Was it much lower than it was intended to be? And these are the rates per time it rolls on that table. I assume so, because I think this is higher than we were expecting, like a better drop rate. Armored Kraken have a 1 in 256 chance to roll on their dragon table. Once rolled, dragon items have the following weightings. Yeah, so I think they fixed a bug that were making these like drop too rarely. So I guess technically a buff in the drop rates to these. Bottled Storm, 1 in 1024. Vampire Kraken, 1 in 512. Extremely rare. Dragon Cannon Barrel, 1 in 20,000 from Opulent Salvage, which they just nerfed by a third, down to a third of what it was, by the way. God forbid you want that Dragon Cannon Barrel. God forbid you want that. Not worth it at all. Just don't even bother. It's not worth it. Basically, people are complaining, hey, the rates are really rare. Can we fix these? And they just show what the rates are without any mention of tweaking them whatsoever, improving drop rates. At least they fixed the bug on things dropping incorrectly for certain ship combat. Okay, we'll take that, I guess. They also mentioned fixing crate hitboxes on Gwyneth Glide. Well, apparently some quick flicks you could do to grab this box now no longer work. So in some cases, the hitbox is smaller on the crates as well, even though they're like, we really hope we fix this. Well, I hope you guys have fun relearning the crate hitboxes for the 4th update in a row. Good luck, good luck. And finally, if that was not enough nerf to sailing as a whole, no mention whatsoever in this news post, they have given all sailing creatures smart pathing. That's right. You can no longer safe spot any sailing NPC. They now can go around everything. You can't sail on top of them and attack them while they're under your boat. You can't safe spot behind things. Nothing works. All sailing creatures will hit you at all times. Ooh, nice. Okay, let's wrap back around to that update they made. So people were freaking out setting up cannons, you know, the thing that you do when an update is bad in RuneScape. So let's see what their responses to this. So we love AFK gameplay. We know that you do too. There was never any intent for extreme 20 to 30 minute AFK gameplay patterns to become a part of training sailing, but it's clearly something that's popular. That said, allowing methods with this level of effort to have a good XP output isn't something that we believe is a healthy precedent to set. So we're not looking to significantly increase the strength of the 2 crewmate salvaging player sorting method. Despite that, there's a chance that changes we'd like to make elsewhere will marginally improve XP output here, though we're not specifically making changes to improve the output of this method. I think it's absolutely crazy that they have hacked off 2/3 of the XP from salvaging. And the fact that they haven't mentioned changing that whatsoever is crazy. Right now, it is not worth doing salvaging at all. It's better to just drop all your salvage and continue salvaging for no loot an hour. No benefit whatsoever. It's actually faster to just 1.5 tick the 2 hooks and drop everything you get. Right now, that's the best method of salvage. The change to sorting XP is a major pain point that many of you feel sorting is no longer worth it whatsoever, which has led to players who were salvaging somewhat actively taking a bigger hit to their XP an hour than feels fair. Be looking at ways to improve the XP output of this more active self-salvage, self-sort approach, so that it feels more worthwhile to do and you don't feel as though you need to drop out of your salvage and miss out on gaining resources. I don't know how they're going to do this. So they're saying, like, if you do everything yourself, you'll get more XP. But the thing you do is you go to salvage, you put 2 crewmates on the hooks, and they keep going while you do salvage. You literally aren't doing anything while you do salvage. So how are they planning to do this? I don't understand. Interesting, anyways. Additionally, we're planning to give the Gwyneth Glide some extra XP to compensate for today's extractor nerf. This was much needed. So this is the only thing that they've spread the extractor XP nerf out, like XP-wise. They have nerfed everything in the skill, and they went, okay, that was a little too far. We're going to give that XP back a little bit in Barracuda Trials. So that's good. That's a good change. We'll take that. We don't have any specific plans for port task tweaks. We're keen to see how these develop. Tomorrow we'll be releasing a post diving into more detail on all of the above and where we expect them to sit in terms of rates. Then if those sound like something that you're on board with, we'll get to work on getting sailing back into a happier place. Okay, so right now they've dropped an update that has pretty much across the board made sailing worse, less fun, less engaging, harder to interact with. They talked through this post a lot. I didn't show a ton of it. They talked through it a lot about how they want to fix combat. They don't feel it's in a good place. And then they stealth make it so that you can't safe spot any of the NPCs. So this update as a whole is just a big stinker. It's a big stinker. It plopped out. Sailing is worse this week than it was last week. People are calling for them to revert it, etc., etc., etc. And then their response to that is like, maybe we'll tweak salvaging slightly. We don't want to do much. And then they're like, we'll give some XP back to Barracuda Trials. That's the only thing they mentioned, but there's so much they need to fix. Not to mention there was so much QOL I have been waiting for them to fix. Being able to move stuff on our ships, having a bank in the boat, like building area, is something people have been asking for since day one. People have been asking for the extractor button like the extractor to have a UI button instead of being forced to interact with it, like based on where it's located, especially without the ability to move it. Really, really annoying. A lot of people have been forced to remove it, put it in the correct spot, waste 2 mil. Very annoying. They slightly tweaked the cargo click box, but the click boxes on the sails and stuff are still so awful across the board on your ships. People have been begging for them to increase the rates on a bunch of different creatures. A bunch of different things are extremely, extremely rare. Instead, what do? They nerf salvage so it feels even worse to go for the dragon cannon barrel, for example. Stuff like that. So they've made a lot of things even worse. Basically, there's a bunch of changes that need to be made, weren't made, and instead they made a bunch of those problems even worse. Impressively bad update. Okay, what would I have done? Like from the get-go with this, what would I have done? First of all, the crystal extractor is just like a big problem with balancing in general. A lot of people love it. A lot of people hate it. When you add in an option for XP that's 34k XP an hour, is 1 click per minute, and works at 100% of sailing locations in the entire game, it's a problem. Like, you can't balance anything. The minimum XP of everything is 34k XP an hour, plus whatever the method is. So those slower methods get buffed a ton, and the faster methods don't get buffed by nearly as much. It's just a problem with balance in general. I personally would have made it work like maybe only at Gwyneth Glide or something like that, like giving a little boost when you do it at Gwyneth Glide, so that like as you can do the, as you unlock the 3rd race, you get a little buff to your XP. It would have made sense. It would have been fine. Maybe making it give 0 XP everywhere else, but give you crystal shards would have been okay, like a passive thing to generate crystal shards. I wouldn't hate that. And then making everything faster as a default instead of this, like, you know, everything is propped up by the crystal extractor. It's been a problem. Instead, what they do is they put it in the game. Extremely easy to calculate, 600 XP, 60 times per hour, right? They know exactly how much XP the crystal extractor is giving before release. It's extremely, extremely simple to calculate. They put it in the game, go, oh, this isn't working, nerf it, and don't spread the XP out anywhere at all. Everything across the board is nerfed. And then they nerf the salvaging, which people are really enjoying. Personally, I really like that a skill had like some decent AFK for once. Like, most skills in the game don't have very good options for AFK that are pretty fast. The closest comparison is Redwoods. Most skills don't have something that's AFK for over 20k XP an hour. That's like really, really AFK. It was just kind of a fun change of pace to have something that's like, oh wow, like this is a really solid option. You can AFK this and it's pretty decent. And then still having like other things be better, like port tasks are better. They probably could have buffed port tasks a bit and maybe fleshed them out, made them more interesting, like I said in the first video. And Gwyneth Glide has always been the go-to for best XP. Like, it's over double what salvage is, no matter what you do. So unless you're doing 1.5 tick, then it was like okay, or 2 tick, whichever one was faster. Like, Barracuda Trials were in a good place. They're over double the XP an hour of salvage, like always. So I don't feel like they needed to do this here, but Jagex feels like it's unbalanced and is causing problems in the game. I don't think it was. I really don't. I think it's okay for a skill to be pretty solid AFK for once. And you could tell just from the response of people that they feel the same. Like, it's just, it feels good. Maybe it's not what Jagex had in their head when they made it, but like, the players are interacting with it. They're enjoying it. Why change it? Why change it? I don't understand. So now we've got this update that nobody likes. And they're going to try to slightly tweak it, but they're not going to change it back to the way it was. They plopped this update out. It's the start of December now. It's December 3rd right now. They're going into holiday break. So JMods, for the most part, are going on vacation, which good for them. They deserve it. They've been working hard as hell. They've been working very, very hard. Good for them. But now they're going on vacation. Are we going to see any more tweaks to sailing now that the 2 weeks are up? Or is it just going to be very, very minor tweaks from here, just like it is with every single update that ever comes out? 2 weeks of changes, which didn't even fix things. They've arguably made sailing worse since the initial week. Are we going to see changes until January? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Whatever higher up decided that they had to rush sailing out for November, right before everybody goes on vacation, and they can't make any changes, is just like, I don't know if it's greed or just like, they're just psychos, but like, it was dumb. It was very, very dumb. It's probably greed. It's probably greed, honestly. Sailing needed more time. And oh boy, this update is not it either. This is not it. This is not fixed sailing at all. We need better behind the scenes looks at what they're thinking, because currently every update, it's like a toss up of what nerf or what bug is going to get added. Nothing gets improved with sailing. Things only get worse. And they mentioned at some point it feeling like, you know, people are getting an early bird bonus and they're hoping that people are on board with the changes they're making anyways. Tell us what's going on. Like, tell us what is happening. Why are you thinking the things that you're thinking? So we can talk about this before updates happen. There's so much feedback going on. This could have all been avoided if we just talked about stuff before the update actually happened. If they were like, hey, we don't feel salvage is in a good spot, it needs to be nerfed, and we're planning to do it next week, at least, like, we would have known ahead of time that this was going to happen. This just felt like a left hook out of a dark alleyway. For no reason. If you missed it, there was actually a bug that made bronze salvaging hooks like 50% better than rune salvaging hooks. So for a very, very brief period, people were swapping out bronze hooks and getting like pretty decent XP rates. That was nerfed within a few hours. So the things that are really, really good, they get nerfed instantly. And then the things that are like unbalanced bad, nerfed really hard, like nerfed too much, they stay that way for weeks on end. When do we think deep sea fishing will be fixed? Like, when will that be like a decent option? Will it ever be? I don't know. Will port tasks ever be fleshed out? They lean towards like nerfing super hard and leaving it that way for long periods of time, and it feels really frustrating as a player. A lot of this like abuse early, abuse often stuff, where you try to avoid doing things after they get nerfed. Like, you try to finish your skills before they nerf things. It's really frustrating. It's really frustrating the way they go about things. By the way, while all this is happening, the servers since Gridmaster have been so bad. I don't know if this is just the US, but for like hours at a time, they will like full drop up to 10 ticks at once, or full drop entire worlds of people. The servers have been horrendous. No mention of servers whatsoever. No, nothing that they're like working on it. They know that they acknowledge that it's happening. Like, just silence, just complete radio silence on that. So frustrating. If people have trended so much towards the AFK options, I have a question. Is that because the salvage is too high XP rate? Or is it because the other methods on offer aren't really engaging people? They aren't really capturing people? Are people not super interested in doing courier missions, bounty tasks, deep sea fishing, even Barracuda trials? Is it possible that people are enjoying the AFK more than all of those other options because they're just not that engaging? Is that possible? Maybe that's an avenue you should hit rather than just nerfing salvage into the ground. Food for thought. And that's it. I will be streaming all throughout the holidays, so don't miss it. And there's a new Inferno teaching stream going up very, very soon, so keep an eye out for it. Luckily for me, I'm not too vexed about this because I can now start lamping sailing. They've just changed that. So it's my new Tears of Gothic skill. I don't have to touch it anymore. Yay me. Yay me. Let's go. And that's it for the video. Leave a like if you liked it, and or subscribe. Bye.